Let's turn our attention now to Manchester United. They're in 5th place, just 2 points off 4th place. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thinks that his side can finish in a Champions League spot.
You take one step at a time, and that's one of the goals we've set us, that we move into that top 4, and if we do so, we want to stay there and improve on that. Of course, it's been fantastic the last 2 months now with the points we've got. So consistency now is the key word, that we keep on improving, keep on winning games, but winning games in a better way than, say, the Leicester one. I felt we hung on. I felt it was one of them good. It was good enough, but good enough we shouldn't just be happy with just good enough. We want to improve, and games like this, Fulham now coming up, is a character revealer, really. It reveals, do we have the focus on what's important, which is always the next game in football, and can we forget about PSG and all the games coming up? Because I know the focus around the place has been, and in the media, has been about the PSG game for a long time, Chelsea, Liverpool, but they're not the games that will move us up the table.
Phil Jones confirmation he signed a new contract.
Yeah.
It follows, obviously, Anthony Martial signing, when you're talking to the likes of Marcus Rashford. Why is it important that you sign players to the club and get these things sorted right now?
It's a signal for the players that we believe in them. It's a signal for the supporters that we plan ahead. And Phil has been here for so long. He's won the Premier League. He's won trophies. So he knows what it takes. He was here. He's been here so long now. So it's one of them things that he knows what it takes for us to move up the table.
He knows what it takes for them to move up the table. Well, they're only 2 points away from going into the Champions League places, which it looked might be beyond them when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did take charge of the team. Nobody's earned more points since he took control since he took charge of Manchester United than Manchester United. And yet you've got former Manchester United players coming out and say, do you know what? Any of us could have done that.
It's absolutely a ridiculous thing to hear people saying stuff like that. For a start, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, his personality and the fact that he knows a lot of these players, he gave a lot of them their debuts in respects of the under-23s, and the fact that he's so widely and globally loved by Manchester United fans, not only because of what he's done, but because he's never lost that affinity and that love for the club. And you've got people who played for Liverpool, scored against Man United, celebrated in front of the fans, you know, saying that maybe they could have done the job. And I think that was, for me, it was a ridiculous thing to say, simply because I believe that half of what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing is because it's built on his popularity. And the fans were they had open arms for him to come. It was only a case of would he be able to tactically do what he's doing, and he's done it. So no one can actually point a finger and say that they could have done better than him, because I think it was an inspired decision now. When you look at it, eyebrows were raised because of Cardiff, but at the same time, now you look at it and you think, what a magnificent appointment.
And it's not just, as you were saying, it's not just about the fact that he's come in, he's popular and Manchester United fans love him. There are definite changes to Manchester United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it's not just as well with the forwards. You hear them all coming out, so he talks to me about movement, he talks to me about this. Yeah. It's not just the forward-looking players who we've seen the improvement in. No, I mean, it's a much happier team, no doubt, but it's also a team that now is being free to play to their strengths. I think the bigger problem than one or two sort of personal dynamics that didn't work out under Jose was that he didn't let the players play in the positions, in the style that they themselves felt happiest in. And I think there's only so much you can push that before the players push back. And that's what clearly will happen now that players are back doing exactly what they want to do, being played in the right way, being coached in the right way.
Playing without fear. Playing
without fear that, you know, there's in this case of, having a bad game, then I'm going to be in the reserves again, or the player's going to throw me under the bus, the manager's going to throw me under the bus in the next press conference. All these things have gone. And now, suddenly, we're almost surprised that the richest team in world football has actually a pretty decent team. Yes, they have. Yes, they have really good players. But also there have been difficult decisions made. As Rashford ousted Romelu Lukaku, for example.
Yeah, but the fact is that when you're at Manchester United, these things happen because you're at one of, like I said, the richest club in the world, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Globally, everybody knows Man United, and Rashford coming through. I think he's earned the right to play where he's playing. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is somebody that's got total faith in what he's doing. Yes, Romelu Lukaku is somebody that now realises where he is and what he needs to do to try and get himself back involved. But you can't say in the way that Rashford is playing and what he's doing, he's so exciting. He's back to the Rashford that hit the scene with this young 18-year-old who was just scoring goals for fun. And looking like he's going to be not only Man United's number 9 for many years to come, but England's, and he's back to that form. And so it's up to Lukaku now to respond, because he's at a club that this can happen to you.
They will lead necessarily to speculation about whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the man long-term for Manchester United. You'll have opinions on that, but is now the time to be making that decision? Do Manchester United need to rush to make that decision?
No. Not for me.
I don't think they have to rush it, but I think they want to come to a decision soon because they want to plan next season.
Yeah.
I think they don't want to get to a point where they're starting to get into conversations with future targets and not know who the manager is, what kind of player he wants. So I think if they are increasingly convinced that he is the right guy, then it doesn't make a lot of sense to drag this out until May, when a lot of the big transfers might have not gone through, but would have gone sort of put on the tracks to go to fruition. So I can understand why they're becoming increasingly convinced, or shall we say, swayed in the sense that he might be the right guy. And it also, I think, might reflect the fact that one or two of their bigger targets might not have worked out.
Yes.
I think the Pochettino thing has gone cold a little bit. Perhaps they wasn't so easy to convince him to make the jump. Wasn't so easy to get an agreement with Daniel Levy either. And now they have a guy who is Man United, who fits the bill, who has the face, who has the pedigree, and the players seem to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So they could do a lot worse than just sticking with it.
They've also gone through a phase of signing up a group of players to long-term contracts. The latest of them is Phil Jones, but there have been some young players in there on longer contracts. Is this evidence of a more considered structure, a more considered plan at Manchester United? Because that's one of the accusations that was levelled under the Mourinho years, was the relationship with Woodward and whether or not there was any long-term planning.
I would still like
Is it getting that way?
I would still like to see responsibility being shared a bit more evenly. That there is someone who has the whole sole responsibility to be a sort of head of recruitment or a sporting director, who does nothing else but to think who is the next best striker, who's the next best forward, who's the next best centre-back. I will now go scout him, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whoever is on the bench, can't be expected to do that. You need someone else to do it, and you need to trust their judgment. And the one thing that does show you, not so much I think about the future, with Martial signing a new deal and Rashford maybe signing a new deal, but about the past. Because I think United had to pull the trigger, had to get rid of Jose Mourinho, because it's been really, really difficult to keep those guys otherwise.
Absolutely.
And if you're a club and you have the real fear of losing your biggest assets, your most valuable players, then I think you didn't really have much choice.
Absolutely right.
So they've got the decision to make about who comes in as a sporting director type role.
Yeah.
Maybe before they start looking at who the manager who could work with him would be. Should that be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, do you think? Is he a lovely holiday romance, or is he husband material?
I think it's probably husband material for me.
He's a keeper.
I think he's a keeper. And I think that if they can, like Raf said, can appoint the kind of guy upstairs, director of football, who has got a football acumen, knows what's going on, finger on the pulse, then I'm not sure, with all the names, whether it's Zidane, Pochettino, whoever they're thinking, could come in and settle and stabilise the whole club with not only fans but the players and everything what's going on, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done. And if he can now get somebody upstairs that he gets on with, who can find those players, and let's face it, we're talking about Manchester United, so it's not like you're going to be going to the targets that's not going to want to come with a rejuvenated Manchester United. Then I can't understand why you wouldn't have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as the manager. I believe that they probably will pinch fourth place. I genuinely believe they'll do it now.
I think it might be a bit unfair to him, but I think there could be a bit of a threshold or a fork in the road when it comes to the 2 games against PSG in the Champions League. That the hierarchy will want to see, okay, we've now gone back to where we should be. 4th spot is really where the minimum we should be. Let's be honest. But if this guy can get a team that looks so demoralised and so far off the pace when it comes to European elite football and get them to knock out one of the best teams in the competition, one of the best teams in European football, then we really can no longer not give him the job. So I think maybe mid-March is the kind of point where they have to make that decision, and it'd be sort of a natural segue into almost next season if they do change their mind or if they do stick with them.
Before that, they have to play second from bottom Fulham, and Claudio Ranieri has been talking about the tough fight they have ahead.
The job is, in every season is different. Also in the same club. Now is we know where we are. We know it's very, very tough moment, and then we need soldiers who have to fight until the end. That is my opinion, my philosophy. We know we play against a very big team. They are fighting for the Champions League, also to achieve the Champions League for the next year. But we are ready. We are ready to fight. I have to be positive, to give my positivity to my players, and I hope also our fans at home give us something more to be solid, concentrate until the end.
You look at the next 4 home games against Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool and Manchester City. As a group of players, is your message to them, should they embrace those kind of games at this stage of the season?
We know there are these teams very, very strong, but I think it's much better to play at home than away. And then in these matches we have to make some points. It's very, very, very important to achieve a point against this team.
What have you made of the job Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done with the club?
I think the result speaks for him. All victory and just 1 draw. And we are in a bad moment, but our confidence is high, and we continue to fight.
They will continue to fight. They're 7 points from safety, and when you look at the home fixtures, which is where you might be tempted to think that their season could be saved, you see that the next 4 of them start with Manchester United, then Liverpool, Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Manchester City at home.
Yeah,
is it almost a bit too late for them?
Yeah, that is a run of games that is almost cruel. When you look at to come up against those 4 teams in the form you are now, 7 points adrift, I can't see them getting any points out of it, because every single one of those teams, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, even Everton, with the poor season they're having, they all need something out of it. Teams need something out of every week, but talking about the pressure of having something out of those. And you look at Fulham and the way they're playing, and I saw them against when I saw them in the Tottenham game, that you know, with a couple of injuries, and the players that were missing from Tottenham, and they couldn't see that off. They couldn't finish it out. They couldn't get the draw, which is something that is synonymous with clean sheets and defensively. And once that happened, I just thought it's just not going to happen for Fulham. It's not going to happen for Fulham.
We have seen, though, that they have something going forward, and that something is Alexander Mitrovic.
Yeah, I don't know if he goes forward, but he's very good when he is just there.
In there.
He is a guy that's really awkward to handle, and he is one of those strikers who might not necessarily have to have a lot of touches, might not necessarily have a lot of chances, but you give him the ball in a decent position and he causes so much havoc. I've seen him a couple of times live. His movement is really, really good. He's a big guy, the elbows flying everywhere. I think as a centre-back, you really do not enjoy playing against this guy. He sticks his backside out.
Brilliant. I saw him against Brighton, Raf, and you know, Duffy and Dunk, they really are quite forceful. They were falling off of him. They were falling off of me. He's somebody that...
The 4-2?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's somebody that just get it in, you know, get yourself solid, and get it in there.
But that is the issue.
That's what they should be doing.
That's the problem. Fulham don't get the ball in there.
Get it in there. They don't get it in there.
It's the midfield, I think, is just not quite at his level. He doesn't get enough.